There are other moments at work, aren't there? There are other moments where you get to feel like you're really using your strengths, where you get in that zone where the right decisions just come so easily to you. Or when you feel creative without really trying, and you just got one idea after another. Where you feel challenged in just the way that you like to be challenged. Or moments when you dive into something and you get so involved in it, so focused on it, that when you're done with it, you're not tired. In fact, you're kind of fulfilled, and you almost wish that the activity that you were doing, well, your whole job was that activity. Moments like that, work can be great just because it can show you how great you can be. And your company knows this. I mean, that's why they're forever talking about our people are our greatest asset. They know that if you, and everybody else, but if you can find a role in which you can play to your strengths most of the time, then everybody wins. You win because you feel more productive, more engaged. Your teammates win because they feel the difference. Your customers feel the difference. The company sees the difference. Everybody wins. So wouldn't it be great? I mean, wouldn't it be great if you got to play to your strengths most of the time? If you could find a role where you play to your strengths for most of your working day. I mean, how cool would that be? Well, it'd be cool, but the research shows that actually very few of us manage to get to that place. In fact, if you ask this exact question, if you ask, what percentage of your typical workday do you spend playing to your strengths? If you actually ask people that question, what you get back is that less than 2 out of 10 of us actually get to play to our strengths at work. I'm not an idealist. I don't know about you, but I didn't expect that number to be 80%. I didn't expect 8 out of 10 people to say, yeah, we skip to work. We play to our strengths most of the time. I mean, there's a reason they call it work, right? But 2 out of 10, actually less than 2 out of 10, it's actually 17%. That just seemed really low to me. And I suppose, well, for me anyway, that begs a question. And that question is, are you one of the 2 out of 10? And if you aren't, how do you get to be? Now, it wasn't always this way, was it? I mean, it wasn't always this way. When you were a kid, I mean, if you think back to when you were a kid, didn't you on some level kind of know instinctively what got you out of bed every day? You knew what classes you wanted to go to, or what teachers you wanted to hang out with, or what kids you wanted to go play with. You just knew instinctively what your strengths were, what strengthened you, and you kind of felt, maybe you couldn't articulate it, but you kind of felt that the world was going to wait for you, and one day you were going to pop out and your unique mark was going to be made on the world. And then sometime between then and now, some part of that childish hopefulness evaporates, doesn't it? It withers away, and we get to work and we're not really sure what our mark is anymore. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why that happens, why I think we lose touch with what our strengths are and what our contribution should be. We got to fit in. We got to do what our parents want us to do. We got to get a job. We got to pay the bills. And then you get the job, and then you got to do what your boss wants. And then here's your job description, and we got to do what the company wants. So, yeah, maybe some of those things are to blame for getting you off your strengths path. But I think if you look closely, you might find that what's holding you back from really playing to your strengths isn't this other stuff, your boss, your company, your job description. Maybe what's holding you back from playing to your strengths is what you believe. Maybe you've become trapped by a very few myths that you've been told are true, and they're not. If you could explode those myths, and if you could replace them with what's true and really act on it, then maybe you could take back some of the control of your work. And maybe you could spend more time, deliberately, each week, spend more time playing to your strengths. Here's one of those myths, that as you grow, you change. God, we've all heard that one, right? As you grow, you're supposed to put away your childish traits. You're supposed to acquire more skills and acquire more experiences and become more balanced, more well-rounded. You're supposed to become an adult. But the problem is it isn't true. The truth is, as you grow, you don't change your personality. As you grow, you become more and more and more of who you already are. My son, Jackson, Jack's 4.5 years old, and already I know some stuff about him. I can see that Jack physically hates to lose. Not in a I prefer winning to losing kind of way that all kids have, but in a physical hatred of losing. If he sees his favorite football team on TV losing, he he can't stay in the room. He's got to run out. Or he's got to bury his head in the cushions and pretend that he can't see it, so that he can't see it. I mean, the kid just hates to lose. I've also seen, and this is odd, but because I don't have any of this, he has a craving for order. This is the kid that won't close the fridge door unless the ketchup has been turned so the label's facing out. Or who panics when we're on the plane and I lean forward to close the blind of the window that just might, partially belong to the seat in front of me. Oh, don't do that, Dad, that's his. Well, odd though that is, those personality traits in a 4.5-year-old, and kind of funny, the bottom line for Jack is they ain't going to change. He's going to have that same craving to win at 44 as he does at 4. And at 84, when he sees his grandkids with their playthings littered all over the playroom floor, his need for structure is still going to fire off. So the point of life for Jack isn't to replace that. The point is to channel it. His dreams may change, his circumstances may change, his achievements may change, but the core of him, the strongest and most dominant parts of his personality, those are going to stay the same. Those are going to stay constant, and so will yours, and that's okay. Now, this doesn't mean he can't grow and you can't grow and I can't grow. It doesn't mean that we can't learn new skills. We can. But this actually points to the second myth that might be holding you back. The myth that you're going to grow the most, you're going to learn the most in the areas where you're weakest. That one sounds odd, but if you think about it, it was ingrained in you really early, wasn't it? Because when you were a kid and you were in class or you were in school and you found out you were good at maths but not very good at English, you didn't get more maths, did you? You got more English. You got remedial English. And your parents were in on this game. They were part of the ingraining process. The Gallup Organization once asked this question. Your child comes home with the following grades. English A, Social Studies A, Biology C, Algebra F. Which grade deserves the most attention from you? The question didn't say if you pick one of the grades, you've got to ignore all the others. It just said, hey, look, here are the grades, and you've only got one thing to invest in your child, your time. Which grade deserves the most attention, the most time from you? 77% of parents would focus on the F. Now, the point here isn't that you should ignore the F any more than you should ignore your own weaknesses. You can't ignore weaknesses. The point is simply, and the truth, if you like, the truth that should replace the myth is that you're going to grow the most, you're going to develop the most in the areas where you already know the most. You grow the most in your areas of strength. In your areas of weakness, yeah, you can learn, but what learnings you gain are achieved with great effort and difficulty, and you don't get very much bang for your buck. I mean, me, growing up, I had a weakness for confrontation. I just wasn't very good at confronting people. I can remember, when I had to try and persuade my dad that I wanted to do something that he wouldn't let me do, I would prepare, I would think about the arguments I wanted to make or the examples that I'd pick. And I even actually rehearsed the actual words I would use. I would be totally prepared. But somehow, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the confrontation, my brain would shut my mouth down. Just couldn't find the words. They'd get stuck in the guzzard or gizzard or whatever this part of the neck is. It's stuck right here. I'd choke every time. Now, going into the workplace, people figured this out about me and they'd counsel me. They'd sort of take me under their wing and say, here's a nice assertiveness training course. Go take that. Or they'd give me little tips and hints, Some of which, by the way, quite good. Always look people directly in the eye if you want to confront them. Or as they raise their voice, lower yours. All good stuff, and I worked at it, and I got better. I went from terrible to really bad. A much, much better use of my time would have been to take all that training, effort, and energy and stuff and put it into my strengths. Because if you want to grow, like me, you're going to have to take all your creativity, all your effort, all of your push and your drive, and invest it in those areas where you have some natural strength. There, you're going to see giant leaps of learning. So do that.